Hello YouTube and welcome to Novus Talks with me, your host, Novus Corvius. So in this video, just like the previous one, I'm once again going to be talking about video games, more specifically Metroid Prime 4, which I talked about briefly in the last video. I've also linked to the playlist from my previous channel, all the Road to Metroid Switch videos I did. So if you're interested in discussion around this game, go check out those videos if you want. It'll fill you in on any of the details you may have missed, and we go like right back as far as January of 2017. So there's not a whole lot, but there's still a bit to see. Anyway, what I'm going to talk about in this video is mainly around the gameplay and level design of Metroid Prime 4, which is something I actually talked about briefly in, I believe it was like the fourth or fifth episode, not the fourth, it was the third or the fifth episode of the Road to Metroid Switch. I was talking about the level design and gameplay and stuff like that. But I'm going to go into more detail here. Because Metroid Prime 4 is going to be Nintendo's biggest title. There's no denying that. This game will be huge. And it has a really high expectation to meet. All the Metroid Prime games have had really good standards. They've all been amazing in terms of world layout, design, immersion, traditional Metroid stuff like that. So there's no reason not to expect Prime 4 to be any different. And I'm thinking, obviously Prime 4 is going to go back to the original Metroid Prime in the sense that it's a new game. It's Metroid Prime for a whole new generation, so they're going to have to go back and just make what made the original Metroid Prime great and reinvent that for this game, for new fans and for nostalgia for old fans, so they can please a bigger audience. What I'm hoping for Metroid Prime 4, and this is just based on what I've seen with the other games, is I want the world's design and layout, like the map, what you're going to explore, to be like Metroid Prime in terms of the scale. Like, it's massive, there's so much to explore. I want to have the uniqueness and standout features that Echoes had. You know, Echoes brought in all the Dark World and stuff, and it felt more like a Zelda game at times, and had these temples and stuff. Prime 4 should try to do something like that in terms of bringing something new. And from Prime 3 it should have the exploration of different planets and stuff. Obviously they can't be as big as the original Metroid Prime, because it just wouldn't be possible or plausible to do, I think. But one thing that disappointed me about Metroid Prime 3 Corruption was the lack of being able to use your ship. You could use it to bomb things and grapple things, and you'd fly to different planets, but you wouldn't do anything in space. And with Prime 4, I want to have, like, it'd be cool to have some sort of like battle with space pirates or something, or just your ship being more useful, because in Prime 3 you had all these features on the ship. If you press the different buttons, you would like different shields and missile systems and stuff, and you couldn't use any of it. So that's definitely something I want them to change. I also think they should bring in if they do the standout type thing that Metro Prime 2 did, also go along with Metro Prime Hunters. You know, we know Psylocke is going to be the main villain. That's pretty much obvious, all but confirmed at this point. I would like to explore the homeworlds of the various hunters from Metro Prime Hunters. So we can learn about the Kraken Empire, or we go to Trace's homeworld. We can go to the Diamond homeworld, from where Spyro's from. I can't remember the name of the planet, but and go to the planet where Psylocke was originally discovered. All these sort of things, because it expands the lore and it expands upon previously established storylines, and it just makes it more believable as part of the same continuity. So that's my ideal version of Metroid Prime 4. Obviously it's probably not going to be like that. We'll probably have one big planet and maybe one or two others, smaller ones, I don't know. Because the thing with Metroid Prime 3 is that the planets were so small and so limited, and you couldn't really explore them. It was very, not linear, but there was a path and you couldn't really explore the planet because it was just off bounds. So that kind of sucked. I definitely want them to do more about that. In terms of upgrades and stuff, just I think that the Prime series has been really good in terms of upgrades, but personally, I'd like to see him bring in the Speed Booster and Shine Spark. It would be difficult to pull off, but if they can pull off the Screw Attack, they can pull off the Shine Spark. So why not? I say they should go for it. Um, in terms of obviously Super Mario Odyssey and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild had the options of changing outfits. It would make sense for them to do that with this game, but at the same time, I'm very against the idea because it doesn't make sense story wise. Samus has her armor, her various suit, and you get the gravity suit and maybe one or two other suits in game. It doesn't make sense for you to have like different customized armor and what purpose because it kind of messes with the timeline a bit. Unless like maybe you can do it for like multiplayer or something. In that case, it would work. Um, that's something they should also bring back. The multiplayer in Metro Prime Hunters, it was fun. It was very basic, but it was okay. I personally loved the multiplayer in Echoes, and I've never got to play the multiplayer in Federation Force, but it just looks okay for Federation Force. So I'm thinking they should have the scale of Hunters multiplayer mixed with the kind of funness of Metro Prime 2's multiplayer, but have more characters, like maybe play as a space pirate or Chozo or something like that, just to give it something fresh. Something else I'd like to see, this relates more to the story. The whole thing about Phazon being gone, Phase being the source of Phazon, it's very not well thought out in the sense that Phase launches Leviathans to corrupt other planets to turn them into Phase. And we're led to believe Samus has somehow destroyed every single Leviathan, which is apparently only 6, 7 if you count the battleship, or well, 8 if you count the one on Phase. So a total of 8 Leviathans, and it's like, that's it. If you read the lore for Alicia, it mentions that there were countless other Leviathans launched, so why it doesn't make any sense that Phase would be the only planet that's entirely covered in Phazon. There would have to be other sources. And I believe Dark Samus can come back that way. Maybe she'll be like deformed like she was at the end of Echoes. Maybe halfway through the game we'll see that she's manipulating Psylocke or something along those lines. I definitely think she's going to show up somehow, be it as part of the main story, a character playable in multiplayer, or flashback, something. Because she's named after the game. She is the Metroid Prime, so she has to appear in some shape or form somehow. Yeah, that's really all I have to add in it. More on the story, I want to see Kraid. You know, Ridley. We've seen Ridley in like every single game, and it's just annoying at this point. It's boring. It's unoriginal, and it's just lazy. We want Kraid. Meta Kraid was a thing from Metroid Prime 1, and he looked creepy as hell. So they should bring back that design. Now is their opportunity to do it, especially on more powerful hardware. We've seen Ridley all the time. Do away with him, let us see Kraid. Might not make sense, but I'm sure they could find a way to do it. I've seen people as well wanting Crocomire or Phantoon to come back. Crocomire would be difficult. Well, then again, Kraid would be as well. But bosses like Phantoon would make sense. Imagine like a Phazon version of him. It would be pretty cool and fun, especially in first person. I'd also really like to see Dragon come back, even though it's unlikely she will, because she was just like a native to Meridia on Zebes. So it doesn't really make much sense for her to come back. But, you know, one can only dream about these things, especially since we have absolutely no info on the game. And so all we can do at this point is just discuss things like this. I believe, as I discussed in the previous video, between now and January, we're definitely going to hear something by January. I'll add to that me and my friend Connor actually prank called Nintendo at one point, their customer service, and asked about Metroid Prime 4. And Iman actually was fairly nice. He said that oh, we might have something to show in January, and there's presumably a Nintendo Direct in January. There's one every year, even the mini Directs this year, if you can even count that. It's still a Direct of some sorts. So I am expecting to hear possibly something by then. If we don't, it means Metroid Prime 4 might actually be a 2020 release, which is the worst case scenario if it's 2020 or beyond. Because it could be like Breath of the Wild in terms of its scale. It might take like 4 years to make this game. But hopefully not. It's extremely difficult to predict right now. So yeah, I just wanted to make that quick video just to throw out my thoughts on that. Let me know your thoughts down below. What do you hope or expect to see in Prime 4? When do you think we'll hear anything about the game? When do you think the game's coming out? Let me know. So yeah, with that being said, thank you all for watching, and please subscribe. Nova Scores out.